So kind of a fun question. I had written on Twitter, we're both big Yankee fans. I know probably 75% of people watching this are going to hate that fact.
But the other 25% are going to be really impressed.
They're going to be really, they're going to think it's great. And, I grew up watching Derek Jeter play. Just want to know from you personally, you're a big baseball fan, will we ever see someone like him again? And I think there are a lot of baseball metaphors for startups and entrepreneurship. And I mean, he was very lucky to be drafted by the team he wanted to be drafted by, but clearly performed, on and off the field, like at a very high level. So just curious to get your personal, what are you going to remember about him? Do you think you'll see anyone like him again?
Well, I'm sure we'll see somebody like him again. I mean, my parents grew up with Mickey Mantle, and they would always explain to me the magic of Mickey Mantle, which I didn't totally understand. And you could get some of it from Mickey, from his statistics, but not totally. You could see like the multiple MVPs he won and the World Series championships, but he had some injuries, and so his overall like stats were just good, not like spectacular in some ways. But he had this aura and had this effect on a whole generation of Yankees fans and New Yorkers. And as I was growing up, like, not to date myself, but as I was growing up, the generation older than me would always talk about him that way. And then 2 generations before that, you hear about Joe DiMaggio. If you ever talk to anybody who like watched Joe DiMaggio play, it's just night and day different. Like they can't even like fathom that there's another player in the same class. And again, if you looked at his stats, you wouldn't quite see that. Now, partially is because he's right-handed and played at Yankee Stadium, so he lost probably 200 home runs by where he played, and it was just 457 feet, to left center. And Jeter was kind of that way too, I think, for people of our generation. So I grew up more in my adult life following Derek Jeter. So I had my professional first job sort of the year he started playing for the Yankees. So my whole like adult experience was kind of through the Yankee Jeter era. I grew up as a child watching the Bronx Bombers, the Reggie Jacksons, and the Ron Guidrys, and Bucky Dents of the world, and Sparky Lyles, Rich Gossage kind of thing, and Billy Martin. But then the Yankees went through this terrible like decade or so, and Jeter led the Renaissance. And so I've always been an incredible Derek Jeter fan. And where it comes back to technology is probably one of the emotional reasons, and this is a little silly, was that like I have some views about technology and occasionally, make pretty aggressive predictions way into the future. And hopefully I'm more often right than wrong. When I first saw Jeter play, it was 1995. I remember when he was drafted in 92, actually. But when I first saw him play in 1995, I said to all my friends, like, this is the future of the Yankees. And so it's the first time I made a crazy prediction that came. Yeah, if you only had Twitter back then, I'd be famous. I'd be the future scout for the Yankees. But no, it was like really real and very vibrant across like all of my friends. And so you kept waiting for, in some ways, the first year or two for like the magic to end. You're like, can he really be this good? Particularly
so you saw him play minor league ball or college ball?
I watched high school film of him in 1992 when the Yankees drafted him out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I had a friend who actually just graduated with him. And actually my friend was arguing with me that he was a better athlete than Derek, which history will make him look pretty silly on that one. But so I actually watched him throughout the minor leagues, followed him like every day in the stats. There's like things you had to subscribe to back then. And then 95, he came up for 15 or 20 games to play with the Yankees and got to see him. I actually went to a couple games. I was visiting New York while he was promoted. And then I was just convinced absolutely like the first week of the 96 season that he was the future star, at least all-star. Hall of Fame's always, like a big prediction, but that was the Yankees were back on the path. I mean, before the strike, we'd had a good season. So like there were some other things going on. The Bernie Williamses of the world, were starting, the Yankees were starting a renaissance, but it was clear that Derek was going to lead it. Obviously, the big memories that everybody remembers are the famous plays you see on, from SportsCenter. The one that I remember the best, though, is a little bit later, is the 3,000th hit, because it was, obviously he went through a tough time trying to get there. It was slumping for a while, but just to be able to hit a home run on your 3,000 hits off David Price, still being able to turn on like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. It was the classic scene, like the kind of thing you only write in the novels, and he just nailed it. And he's done that so many times, of being able to turn like a fictional experience into a real world experience. But no one forgets the play in Oakland. Nobody will forget the play against the Red Sox and all the pivot throws and the home run in the World Series. That kind of stuff's like etched in your brains if you're a Yankees fan or maybe even a baseball fan.